G'day guys, welcome to episode 77 of Ask Jack D. Today I take a really good question around, Jack, if I've had previous business failures, what is the conversation I need to be having with investors today in order to get them to invest in my business? G'day guys, welcome to episode 77 of Ask Jack D. Today we take a question from Ben Harris on Twitter who asks, Jack, what's the best way to gain finance when you've had previous business failures, voluntary liquidation? What are your thoughts? Hashtag Ask Jack D. Ben, really good question, and probably something that Australia isn't quite as good at as, places over in the States, for instance, where having a business failure or two is actually seen as a stripe on your badge, like it's actually seen as, cool, you've now earned your dues kind of thing. You will have learned a lot, and they actually respect and appreciate failures. And that is becoming more true in Australia. However, it's less so than over in the States or other more sort of developed startup and entrepreneurial ecosystems. So here's the thing. If you've had previous business failures, firstly, recognize that those business failures and having gone through those experiences and learned those lessons is probably the best thing you've ever done, right? So firstly, acknowledge yourself for what you've gone through. Give yourself a pat on the back. I think there's little things that are more honourable than somebody that's had a business failure, particularly if they've had another business failure, and gone on to continue on the journey, right? You won't find any highly successful entrepreneur that has not had a string of failures. Look at Branson, look at Jobs, look at Musk, look at Peter Thiel, any Oprah Winfrey, you look at any high-level, great entrepreneur, they've all had a string of failures, right? So it's par for the course. What do you now need to do with regards to those failures to ensure that you can secure financing and, more importantly, respect and credibility going forward? 3 things. Number 1, take responsibility. The worst thing we can do when we fail is move into a new circle or go into a new room with new investors talking about a new thing, and they go, what went wrong with your last business? And you go, oh, well, I had a CEO and they did this, my CFO did this, my business partner did that, and the consumer wasn't ready, and what we're doing is we're putting blame and therefore responsibility outside of ourselves, and we can't own something that we don't take responsibility for, and we can't change something that we don't take responsibility for. So the first thing is take responsibility. I have a view in life and in business that everything is my responsibility, nothing is my fault. Whether it's something that happens in my direct circle of influence or outside of it, everything's my responsibility, nothing's my fault. Whenever anything happens, in our world, I say to myself, Jack, what did you do or not do to cause this to happen, right? I believe we choose and we create everything in our lives by action or by inaction. So take full responsibility. And in taking full responsibility, if you can articulate what that business did wrong, what you would have changed, what were the pivotal moments, what were the pivotal decisions, taking responsibility for them and reflecting on what you would have done differently, that's like a tick in the box, right? You've just taken a failed business and turned it into a really valuable, somewhat expensive, but really valuable training program, right? So number 1 is take responsibility. Number 2 is surround yourself with people with been there, done that experience. When you feel like you don't have credibility yet, you can borrow and leverage other people's credibility who already have that credibility, right? So you can build an advisory board or build a board or build a team of mentors, whatever it might be. But then as you start to go and speak to different investors and different potential staff members and different partners, on the first page of whatever document, if it's an IM or it's a business proposal, whatever it is, the first page of the document you're producing has a bunch of, 3 or 4 people's different photos and their biographies in terms of this is who is actually mentoring me and helping guide me along this journey. I've learned from previous mistakes, and in this journey I want to have people who can take me under the wing and help me navigate the growth path of this particular business. And this is my team I have here, and they've got a whole bunch of been there, done that, successful experience in business, right? So number 2 is leverage other people's credibility. And number 3, if you want to be investable going forward, is proof of concept, right? We need to demonstrate that this new thing that we're doing, this new venture, has proof of concept, meaning through consumer insight, we've proven that people want it, or through pre-sales, we've proven that people are already buying it, or through some mechanism, through testing or iterating or pre-sales or consumer insight, there is relative proof of concept that, unlike the last one that failed because of these are the reasons and I've done the thinking and I've taken responsibility, unlike all of that, we're now doing this and there's relative proof of concept because of A, B, C, right? But if you can, number one, take responsibility, number two, create an advisory board and have people around you who've been there, done that experience, and number three, have relative proof of concept that says, this thing is starting to get traction, or we're very confident that consumers are going to want this because here's A, B, C of our consumer insight, then that is going to go a long way to ticking the boxes for the different investors. At some episode, we actually recorded the 3 questions that are on every investor's mind. Rosie's thinking about it. I can see the cogs turning in her mind. What Jack McAvoy will do is somewhere around here, he'll tell you what episode that was. You should go and watch that because that speaks to a lot of the things that investors are going to be interested in and they're going to need to have a conversation with you around in order to feel comfortable and confident taking advantage of this investment opportunity that you're now putting in front of them. Really good question, guys. That is episode 77. I look forward to speaking with you guys tomorrow.
I've been there, I've just actualized a wish that I dreamed as a kid. Cause I'm lining up the